Welcome back to another podcast episode. Stop hiding. Episode 4 of Moon Knight.
This episode was something.
It
man.
was amazing. It was mind blowing, very
The
suspenseful. I was
the
like,
direction on it alone was just like
yes,
it was like a horror film for like the first half.
exactly. I was like on the edge of my seat, glued to the screen, did not want to go anywhere. I was a little not scared, but I was a little
Thrilled.
yeah. There was a good amount of I guess
Dude, that one shot where she was like, where Lacey, is her name Lacey? What's
Layla.
Layla? Yeah, welcome to ChaoticCorp. We don't know names.
ChaoticCorp.
Where she was getting dragged into the dark. That was like
right.
That was the point where I was like, "Yo, who directed this shit?" Like, it's good. Don't get me wrong. Like, I know I said that like it sounded negative, but I'm like, who?
It's a huge plus for me.
Who did Disney get? This is not a Disney director.
The directors, and it's not the directors for each episode. The directors were Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson.
Okay.
They've not done a single thing that I know of. They've done a couple things. Spring, which is in like 2014. A film called The Endless in 2017.
So basically, they're like underground directors. They haven't really directed anything with like a high budget like this. It's good that Disney's doing that because it seems. What's up?
No, I was gonna say there's this one called VHS Viral. Which was in 2014. It says VHS Viral is a 2014 American found footage horror anthology film produced by Bloody Disgusting.
Yeah, I think I've heard about that. So yeah,
it says it's
they're
the
horror
the
directors.
VHS franchise. That's interesting.
It seems like Disney's given like a lot of like small people a chance.
Oh yeah.
Because like I'm not gonna get too much on like Star Wars Visions, but Star Wars Visions had like a few studios that weren't really too well known onto the project. So it seems like they're doing the same thing with Moon Knight and its director. These small, or at least I feel like they're smaller directors, get this latest episode, and I feel like it's a huge plus for like everyone involved.
Oh yeah, it was really like I feel like a turning point for Disney Marvel shows.
Mm-hmm.
They're starting to really branch out because now they have stuff like Stars on Disney Plus.
Remind me what Stars are.
Stars is like a add-on or like a channel that does like movies and I think occasionally shows.
You mean Stars?
Yeah. Like,
okay, I know what you mean. That's on Disney Plus now.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Interesting.
I can't tell you when they decided to implement it, but they had shows like Blackish they really started celebrating like Black History Month too because they brought back this one old Disney show. Wish I could remember the name of it.
The Proud Family.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The Proud Family.
They brought back like Prouder Family or something.
Yeah, it's almost like Full House, but Fuller House kind of. Like I said, they had a show on there called Blackish, which
Full Warehouse. It was Fuller House, you jackass.
Yeah. Wait, what? What did I say?
You said Full Warehouse.
No, I said Fuller House. I guess the way I just said it kind of sounded like it was. I said Full Warehouse.
I'm thinking you're saying Full Warehouse.
That's funny. No.
I was thinking that like the kids from Full House like grew up and they all
started working at Amazon.
Welcome to Amazon, bitch.
Welcome to.
You ready? You ready for a bunch of write-ups?
Can you imagine if you're like the parent and you just drop your kid off at Amazon to get to work and then you just hear the Vietnam what's the song that they would play?
Fortunate Son.
Yeah, Fortunate Son. Where it's like, welcome to Amazon, day one, you bitches. Get in there.
They had this sign that said, "Every day is day one."
What?
Yeah, it was. I was like, "What the hell does that mean?"
You know what that means? because they're like the only company in the world that goes through workers more faster than anything
Oh
else.
Yeah,
that's probably what they mean.
They're guaranteed someone in this bitch is on their day one because we fired somebody and someone already replaced them, and they're here.
Hey, you know Carl? No, you're the new Carl.
Yeah, you're the new
the
Carl.
next day I'll be gone, so you'll have a new Chris working here too.
We had a lot of Chris's working there. Like literally, there was probably, dude, there was like 8 Chris's.
I feel like
on night shift alone, or on night shift outbound alone.
Wow, that's
back to Moon Knight.
Back to Moon Knight. This episode was amazing.
Yeah, it was. It really was.
It's definitely, and I keep
really
saying
well
this.
Done.
I keep saying this in every episode, but like this is one of my favorites. I literally keep saying it for every episode. This show is honestly really good, and it keeps getting better, in my opinion.
Right.
Mainly because, in my opinion, I think this episode was a sort of a mind fuck, and
it definitely was, because
I like that kind of stuff.
If you didn't tell me, and I was still kind of questioning it, but if you didn't tell me, it's like, yeah, this thing happened in the comics where he was like in a mental asylum, but it was in his head,
right,
and all that other shit, I would have been like, wait a minute, you're not going to tell me that these last 3 episodes were fake, and he's just some dude.
Just some dude.
All right.
Who likes action figures.
So it's really,
that's really all he is.
And I was waiting for like the moment where it would pick up after that. Once in like the lights started swinging in the hallway when he ran, then I was like, okay, good. We're still on track.
Right. You realize that's not something that happens unless it's like an earthquake or something.
And honestly, even with the earthquake, it wouldn't be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like it wouldn't do that. So at that point, I was like, yeah, we're back on track.
Right, because we kind of saw that during the outros. They were kind of giving us a lot in those outros. You know what I mean? Like the pictures. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but the moon would change. It's I think by the end of the episode or the end of the series, it's gonna be like a full moon. And you notice in the like the very first 2 episodes, you notice in like the first 2 episodes that I don't know what tower it is, but it's some kind of like big tower in like Egypt or something. And then in episode 3, you see Big Ben.
Tower.
No, it's not the Alpha Tower.
I know. I was just bullshitting.
Okay. And then you see in episode 3, it's like you see Big Ben. So they're kind of like, it's kind of like, because you know the first 2 episodes are in England, so it's looking towards whatever that tower is in Egypt, and then now he's in Egypt, and now it's looking back home, which is in England for Steven. So that's that. And then my favorite probably is the little cinematic where you see the body, and then like the face is cut off, and you see like 3 different faces, but they each have different haircuts. That's probably like my favorite.
Oh yeah,
it's kind of like a foreshadowing.
Yeah. Speaking of foreshadowing, that 3rd coffin, dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
You obviously know that's freaking Jake Lockley.
Well, of course, but they're not going to show it until like. I don't know if they'll even show it in the next episode. I feel like they're going to wait for that shit to go to the end.
I don't know. I mean,
they showed a glimpse of him, or like a trail of him. Yeah, like, oh, this dude was murdering people.
Right. And then like, who did that? That wasn't me.
Right.
You're right.
And it wasn't touched up on for like what, an episode, and here we are, back here.
No, that was
the 3rd coffin.
I think that was last episode.
Was that the last?
That was last episode. Yeah.
Okay, well, either way,
but still, yeah.
Either way, that happened. And it wasn't really touched up on, so it was kind of like just showing you, like, hey, this is a thing, but we're not going to acknowledge it right now. And then all of a sudden, that 3rd coffin came in, and now it's going to get people saying, what the hell is that?
Right, people that really don't know.
And exactly. And they also want to see, and even people who do know want to see that person in live action.
Definitely.
So I feel like that's something that they can, just keep on teasing for a little bit, or at least for the next episode. We have like what, 6 episodes?
Yeah, so we have 2 more episodes, unfortunately.
Yeah, so we have 2 more episodes. So I feel like it's entirely possible for them to either not show him in the next episode or show him at the very end of the next episode.
I hope not, but so originally what I wanted to talk about was you had already mentioned it, him being in this like psych ward almost.
Mm-hmm.
It instantly reminds me, and I think they were kind of pulling from that anyways, Moon Knight Volume 8, which was in like 2016, 2017. It's where he's in a mental institute almost, but like in his head. And the cover of issue 1 is him in the straitjacket. That's why when we were watching the episode, I was like, I swear, if they don't have him in a straitjacket, I'm gonna lose it. But like they kind of like
he was sedated.
Yeah, sedated.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said that. But...
So the way that I feel like those don't really make you go to sleep. They just make you extremely weak.
Oh yeah.
At least that's the way that bears are sedated. They're not really.
Yeah,
I know this. I have this knowledge because I went through some kind of like course saying like, oh yeah, you sedate the bear. It's not going to be asleep. It's going to be pissed off. It's going to be looking at you as you're like loading it into the truck.
Probably.
But yeah, I don't think they really put you to sleep. But
right.
I'm not really a doctor either, so there might be some form of sedative that makes you go to sleep. I don't know.
Probably. But yeah, I thought that was really cool. It definitely, the mind fuck of the episode, because towards like the middle, maybe closer to the end, he gets shot by Arthur. Steven does, not Mark. Well, no, Mark does. Yeah, I forgot that they switched at first. And he gets shot twice, so that's definitely a killer. And he falls back into this shallow pool near the sarcophagus, and I'm thinking that, or you had said it first. He was like, "Hey, another Egyptian god comes by, and he's like, hey, you want to not die again?
You want to like you want to cut a deal."
So we get to see another Egyptian god, Taweret. It's like the hippo god, Taweret. I am probably butchering that, but
you sound like you're asking me a question. I don't know what the hell you're saying. Taweret? Like a Sims character.
It's like, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but it's like I honestly don't know how to pronounce the word. And then Weret. Taweret. Yeah, so we got to see the god Taweret. And
that's how I'm pronouncing his name.
Yeah, actually, it's a her. It's the goddess Taweret.
Okay.
And yes, I'm using Wikipedia. It says the goddess Taweret portrayed as a bipedal hippopotamus with limbs like those of a feline. Her hand rests on the, and I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's like SA, the Sa sign, I guess. A hieroglyph that means protection. So it's pretty interesting. I didn't know that there was a hippopotamus god, Egyptian god, if I'm going to be honest with you. I think I said before, I don't know all of them, but I know a good few. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. Don't know why we're meeting her at this point. I feel like maybe I feel like it might have to do something with I think we're gonna see Khonshu later in his head. Now don't get me wrong, Khonshu is still was still imprisoned in the stone. And then you saw all these other gods in the beginning of the episodes, and they were also in stone. So I was starting to say last episode that I felt like there were more than just those gods that we saw on like the council, as we called them.
Oh yeah.
But we just didn't know where they were. So I guess that they did wrong and got imprisoned. So I guess that kind of answered our question. Now, whether or not they were bad, we have no idea. Khonshu is kind of like he's got his own motives, but I wouldn't really say that he's evil per se.
I mean, he's not evil, but he's also like ineffective. Let's be honest.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, like, I'm not going by. Like, I'm not saying that like what's her name is like more effective by removing the choice of evil, but Khonshu's also like they made a point where like his vengeance comes along after they've already done something,
right?
And it's not really like he's protecting people. It's more like he's just vengeful. That's it. Like, he's not saving anybody. Right. He's just vengeful on like people who probably deserve it.
Right. I mean, he did say that he only, does harm to those who have already done wrong. Mm-hmm. That might be not word for word exactly what he said, but he said something along the lines of that.
Whereas the idea of what's her name, Ahmed?
Yeah.
The idea of her is to remove the choice of evil itself.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that would just turn into like a dictatorship.
In a way, yeah.
I don't know. There was this theory that Arthur is not the avatar per se of Ahmet.
See, that's the thing that confuses me, right?
I don't think he really is, and I say that, but we clearly saw that she was in a stone as well.
Yeah, that's my problem with that, is that how could he be the avatar of Ahmed if she's in a stone?
Right.
But the moment that Khonshu's in a stone, Steven and Mark loses all their stuff.
Right. And he still has the multiple personality disorder, so it's really a big question whether or not he always had it or... No, I'm done. Go ahead.
I just want to... Well, actually... So the idea behind that is, and I want to retcon something that we said on our last podcast, or at least I feel like we said on our last podcast, where you thought that he was executing people, and I said that he was executed.
Yeah, I didn't think he was. I didn't think he was.
So the whole idea of that is that he was brought back to life, because he already had like that brain trauma. So that right there is what birthed Mark, not the whole, the magic and the deal that he made with Khonshu. It was the trauma.
Okay.
The ability for him to live after that was the magic part. Mark is like a completely natural thing, not a magical thing.
I know what you mean. So it really begs the question, after learning this, who's really the alternate personality? I mean, I feel like it kind of gives us the answer anyways.
I mean, I feel like it's Steven.
Yeah, I feel like is.
No. He's not the alternate. I think he's the original.
You think that Steven is the original?
I believe so. I mean,
Yeah, you see, because if Steven wouldn't have been executed, it would have been Mark. So where came Mark got shot?
Executed?
Okay, hear me out right here.
Okay.
If Mark got shot in the back of the head, it's going along with what you just said. Gives him the brain trauma and thus gives him multiple personality disorder. Because after he was healed by Khonshu, he wasn't fully healed, if you know what I mean. Something came along with that trauma, so like that he wouldn't forget.
Okay, so I think it could go either way, because Mark is kind of like an archaeologist. He's
a mercenary, is what he really is.
Mark?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to say that Mark was an archaeologist.
Which one's Mark and which one's Steven?
So Mark is the one that's married to Layla. Steven, you automatically know because he's got the accent because he's from London.
I'm sorry.
You were mixed up.
I get mixed up. So.
It's okay. And then I'm anticipating that Jake will have some sort of he'll have some sort of like accent too, but I'm not entirely certain because he's a cab driver in the comics, so I don't know. But keep in mind,
accent.
Huh?
He's gonna have a New York accent.
Yeah. I mean, that would be kind of weird, but It's weird because in the comics, Mark is from. Are you doing research?
Because I feel like that's wrong, but
wait. What's wrong?
That. Oh, Mark Spector is okay.
Mark Spector is the original in the comics, and I said it before that this show is somewhat through the eyes of Steven Grant instead of Mark Spector, which it was in the first 2 episodes. And then we come to find out later in episode 4 that he was then executed and brought back to life by Khonshu. So, thus making him the avatar of Khonshu. And just more or less to put it out there, the theory is now that that me and you, I would say, has created is that through the brain trauma that he got shot in the back of the head, Khonshu wasn't able to unscramble his brain 100%.
Oh yeah,
and thus giving him multiple personalities.
Yeah. So here's my thing. It could have gone either way. It could have been either Steven, who was at the dig site as one of the people, or it could have been.
Oh, you thinking multiple people got transferred into one body?
No, what I'm saying is, well, maybe
that's what I thought at first. Because
maybe possible, but I don't know. However, the idea is that it could have been either one of them. Because they already make up their own backstories. Because Steven had like a mom that doesn't exist.
Right.
He had
he had a bunch of things that
didn't exist. Yeah. See, like in his head, he believes, and this is his reality. Of this is who he is, and these are the people that he knows. Even though that they don't physically exist, they mentally exist to him.
Right.
But what if they do exist?
Right.
That reality could be the reality of which they live. Layla came after the shot, is what we just learned.
Right.
So technically, no one that Mark Spector knew before the execution, we have not seen anyone that he's known before, except for this one dude. But no one can trust this one dude.
Who are you talking about?
Long hair.
Well, that's
like he knew about him, but
right.
No one could really trust him. I'm not taking his word for whatever.
Right.
So it could have been. What I'm saying is, it could have been either Mark. It could have been either Steven.
Yeah, you're right.
I feel either way, they're already making up their own backstories in their head, no matter what it is. I feel like it is Steven though, but
I like Steven.
No, not. I feel like it's Mark. I feel like it is Mark. What I'm saying is, it could be Steven. So.
Okay, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I don't know. Either way, I feel like it would still be very entertaining. It's definitely good to see where they're gonna go with this, because at this point they can go anywhere.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And I should have known this. I should have known that it was going to happen. I mean, I did know from the comics, but I didn't know through the show, because sometimes they like to put their own twist. Obviously they did with this show, that because in the comics, what they just explained, he had a buddy or like another mercenary that they were doing that job together, and he wanted all of the treasure for himself to sell, like on the black market, I'm assuming, and he shot Mark. That's more or less what happened in the comics. Mark got shot, and Khonshu raised him up from the dead. I think in the comics it was in the tomb, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been out in the desert, and he crawled into the tomb to look for a safe place, and then Khonshu was like, "Hey, what you doing?" What was I gonna say? But yeah, no, I should have known that. But like I said, they just kind of went their own little way in the show, and explained it later. Yeah, which is great. I'm very glad. Just trying to think of what else happened. We finally got to hear that Mark did end up being involved with Layla's death, and I remember you were kind of denying it at first, weren't you?
Yeah. I was like, I don't want that to happen. I mean,
I know what you mean.
That makes sense, but shit.
Yeah, it's kind of like, damn. But I mean, he was a mercenary back then. But it's sad because the only reason why they got together, and I like Layla. Don't get me wrong. I think she's great. But the only reason why they got together was because he was involved in her father's death, and that's literally the only reason. So, when I saw in the previous episode, I saw the way that she was looking at Steven and vice versa. And I was like, there's something brewing there. And I'm like, I kind of don't want that to happen. But at the same time, I like Mark and I like Steven. And I like Layla. So I feel like it could go either way for me. It's weird because they're in the same body, but all the more reason for it to work out anyways. You know what I mean? So they end up kissing. And she was kind of giving a weird look about her when Steven, and she went in for a kiss at first, and then he kind of backed up and was like, this is wrong. Or, yeah, he was like, this is wrong because there's something else afoot. That Khonshu, he told her that Khonshu was planning on making her his new avatar once he was done with Mark. And then after that, he went in for the kiss, and she had a weird look on her face, like as if she liked. I knew, you obviously can tell that she likes Steven, because, and she said it because he's more honest than Mark is. But she was giving a look as though that she knew what she was doing was wrong, because she still kind of had feelings for Mark. And I was like, this show's getting more entertaining by the episode. If I'm gonna be honest with you, he gets punched by Mark with his own hand. That was great. And I'm pretty sure Mark might have like tripped him too, because he came crashing through the through the tomb. So that was kind of fun to see. It was really cool seeing that tomb. They finally got there. Once they got to the dig site, things were getting really like suspicious, because I was wondering where everybody was. Of course, it made only sense that they would be in the tomb, but it's weird that everybody was in there. The only really weird thing that happened when they were in the campsite was, what did you say that you saw? You told me what it was.
An embalming tool.
Yeah.
It's like a tool that they use like to cut into like bodies and basically like take out the organs and like wrap it up.
That's weird.
Because that's what mummies were. They literally took out like the organs and like wrapped them up and said,
there you go.
This is how we do shit now. We don't bury our stuff like normal people.
We just put them in coffins. We put them in coffins and put them in big buildings.
Yeah, put them in very fancy coffins.
Right.
Buildings, shove statues down their throat for whatever reason, and then call it a day.
Yeah, that was pretty smart on Steven's part, where he started ripping through Alexander the Great. They found his tomb. It turns out Alexander the Great was one of the speakers for, or his Amet's last. Apparently, it was Amet's last avatar. So that's pretty entertaining to see. Pretty interesting. Amet's been gone for that long. I'm wondering if they were... I'm wondering... now, this is going to be weird, but... you remember seeing Eternals?
Yeah.
And that one scene where one of the Eternals saw a statue of Charles Darwin and was like, hey, how you doing? Or was like, like that they miss him. And I'm thinking to myself, because the Eternals are so old, I'm wondering if they knew Alexander the Great, and if
they probably did.
Yeah, and if by any chance did they know about the Egyptian gods. But I feel like that's probably not true, that they probably didn't know them, because during that meeting in the last episode, they were like, you almost gave us away to humanity. You almost gave out like our presence almost. And I'm like, Khonshu he kind of did that again when he started doing the, so
But then again, the Eternals kind of like weren't supposed to get involved with like, well, after a certain time, they weren't supposed to get involved with stuff. So I feel like even if they did find it, they wouldn't have said anything. So
right, but I don't know. It's like interesting to think that they could have known some of the gods. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if later on in the show, because come to find out, Khonshu in the comics is brother to the Panther God.
Okay.
The Panther God dealing with Black Panther. Do you remember seeing Black Panther?
Okay, yeah.
So you remember when they were being judged, or at least I remember from the comics, there was this giant panther, and it would like talk to whoever was trying to gain the powers of the Black Panther at that time, whether it would be somebody new or somebody of royal blood, which most of the time it was. I'm wondering if they're gonna like tease that at all. If they haven't already, I feel like
I don't know, because like the possibilities of this new Black Panther movie are now limited because of, unfortunately, the passing of Chadwick. But
yeah, and then I think they ended up not recasting him, thank God, but I think they ended up giving the mantle to the guy who played Umbatu, Man-Ape. It you know who I'm talking about,
the big dude,
the
right?
big dude, yeah.
It's
weird to think that he was Man-Ape though, because Man-Ape in the comics just has like a full-on like the Rhino in like a full-on rhino outfit. He's in a full-out albino ape like skin. And it's just his face outside, and then like you have the teeth.
Okay, yeah, all right.
But it's white. It's so weird. It's like a rarity, and he wears it as a fucking costume. Rich people problems.
I beat the shit out of this thing in '93. Now I just wear it around.
Rich people problems. What was one of your favorite scenes, more or less?
Oh, probably that whole little like horror segment in like near the beginning, where that thing was like chasing them around.
Oh yeah, that thing. That gave me like Ash versus Evil Dead vibes.
That gave me like Man of Medan vibes. I know that certain someone's gonna like make fun of this for me, but yeah, it gave me like Man of Medan vibes, where there was like a creature like chasing you, and it also gave me like horror game vibes whenever she like threw the jar.
Right, to grab its attention.
Yeah,
right.
It's like, here, it's over here, bitch.
I was wondering why he didn't throw anything, but he was just like in total shock.
He was
and
wouldn't you? If that thing was like setting its eyes on you,
right,
approaching you, you really think you're gonna be like, oh, I know what to do?
It came
like throw a jar against a,
It came from like under the floorboards and looked up at him through the floorboards, and he just looked down and he was like, oh crap. And it immediately did like a 180 and like hung like a it hung like a sloth on the thing and was just crawling, and then that's when she threw the jar. But that was insane. And then he ended up killing it. But
yeah, one of the Resident Evil bosses are like that.
Really?
Yeah, I was playing it in VR, and there's like in the second phase, like this thing has like, it's got like its spine like extended, so it's like 15 feet tall, I think, and it has these two like things like this.
Are they like shoulder blades?
Like tendrils. No, they're like tendrils.
Oh, really? Okay.
So there's a second phase where his like legs fall off, so it's just his torso and the tendrils and his arms, so that he's going through the warehouse just swinging around and shit. Yeah, and I faced against that shit in VR.
In VR?
In VR.
Oh my
god. That was fun. I never get scared when it comes to horror games. Despite, like the Enderman and shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I still don't know what your thing is with the Enderman.
But dude, I don't know what's wrong with me. But anyway, that was the only thing that slightly scared me was facing against that thing in VR. I actually cussed Ashley out whenever I got out of the warehouse after killing it. She ran up beside me, and then like for a second, like I got lost in the game, and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Fuck no, bitch! Did you see that shit? You hiding in a dumpster and shit. Well, I have to fight that damn thing."
Oh.
And I was like, "Oh, this isn't real. It's just
damn.
She can't hear me."
That's funny.
But yeah, it was definitely, yeah. Whenever you did like re-described how that thing was moving, it just reminded me of that boss.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was probably one of my favorite scenes as well. Yeah. I'm definitely hoping that they touch more up on the insane asylum section.
Mm-hmm. They probably will.
They probably will. It's honestly a really nice touch. Just to think that because Mark, they did sedate him because he was aggressive. That's what Arthur had said. Arthur is, in this case, the governing body or manager or whoever of said establishment in his head, which would be the insane asylum. And everyone else is, his workers, the people that were a part of that group that you saw. Like the one dude died in the tomb, and they watched it happen, and then like they just show him like his face in front of Mark, and all the viewers are like, "Hey, that guy's dead. What's going on?" So that was a nice little, like I said, mine F that I really liked. So also real quick, that scene was like insane when he was just getting like cut open on the table.
Oh yeah, that was.
And they had seen blood there before, so
like Disney. What's going on?
Yeah, it's honestly really good. Like in my opinion, like yeah, I love the maturity that they're allowing in their shows. Mm-hmm. That they're not Disney-fying them; they're still allowing them to be Marvel. If that makes sense.
Great. It is really.
It's my favorite so far. So, but hopefully we'll. I don't know if we're gonna see Concho. But why would there be a god in his head? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Unless that god was.
Unless that's the afterlife, and they're all just meeting, like it's separate souls.
That's also very true.
That's what I feel like it is, because it's not.
But
like
Layla's not dead. So yeah, you're right. It's a hard. I really do think that it's just in his head.
Yeah, it probably is. I don't know.
But there's a little bit of foreshadowing there, I feel like, because Mark was a little crazy in the comics. And I'm assuming he's a little crazy in here. Like I said, they had to sedate him because he was a little crazy and a little tough with other people because he was shot in the head, and his brain was kind of scrambled, like I said before. Thus, him asking Steven after he ripped him out of that tomb in that room when he was running from the guards, he was like, "You saw that too, huh?"
That tomb in that room.
Yeah, that tomb in the room. Mm-hmm. He was like, "I'm not crazy. You, what was the last thing that you remember?" He was like, "Arthur shot us." He was like, "Right," and he was kind of saying it crazy like, and I don't know,
like right.
Yeah,
I'm like, the only one who experienced that.
Right.
Yeah.
I also love that as soon as he got out of the tomb, like they were fighting like not too long ago because Steven had kissed his wife, and Steven already doesn't like Mark so much because he had been messing up his life. Mm-hmm. And they just hug it out. I don't know why. I love that.
It was great.
It was a very touching moment, very wholesome. Yeah. And then they let out the other one out of the tomb, Jake, and he just fucking starts punching people. I'm gonna post a couple of these pictures in here, but these are kind of like the inspirations that I think they got this little insane asylum from the volume 8 first issue and another volume 8 issue where they're all like kind of beating each other up. But yeah, I'll post those there. Okay, I think that kind of does it for this episode. I'm definitely looking forward to the next episode.
I am too.
I don't want it to end, but I truly do think that they're gonna come out with a season 2, and possibly, at least they should have him in a couple movies. What movies? I don't know. Hopefully we'll see him in a couple movies.
Hopefully.
But anyways, thanks for watching episode 4 of Moon Knight podcast on ChaoticCorp. You can follow me at twitch.tv/HotPocket61. You can follow Apollo at twitch.tv/ApolloYourKing. You'll mainly find him on the YouTube, though, streaming.
I want to say I'm sorry that we haven't been uploading on YouTube very much. We're still working on a lot of like other projects. I know that gameplay videos are probably like the most highest amongst the what's the word? It's the most demanded out of our audience so far. But we're also working on like other different projects. I'm trying to get Resistance Radio back up and running with some kind of structure, because it's always been like just a random let's record. Like I feel like there should be segments for it. I'm also working on a different project for a horror podcast, but no one's gonna see any of that until like next year, I think. But that's because of putting so much work into it. But yeah, that's why we haven't been uploading. I'm gonna try to upload, but as far as promising a schedule, I'm not gonna promise a schedule.
It's just better not to
try to do what I do, and I'm not gonna feed the algorithm. I'm just going to feed the audience as much as I can. So
very well put.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for watching.
Thank you.